All right. Hey, Geek Bar fans. Welcome to another edition of Geek Bar Interviews. We are here with Brian Flack of Seventh Wave Brewing. Brian, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Brian is a brewmaster at a delicious brewery here in New England, but also recently ventured out into the world of comic books. It has a fandom already, but one of the first folks that I've heard of, also the North Ale one as well, to do a comic book themed event at a brewery. And I'm told it was a huge success. So wanted to learn a little bit about Seventh Wave Brewing and how this idea came about.
Yeah, absolutely. So Seventh Wave Brewing has opened its doors in 2018. I came in about 2.5 years ago as the new brewer and was kind of given free reign to do really a lot of what I wanted when it came to art direction and the types of beers that we were making. So I've been a lifelong comic book fan. I was a collector as a little kid. I got out of it in the 90s and then I got back into it. So once I had kind of like carte blanche to do whatever I wanted to do when it came to artwork, it was like, well, let's do cool comic book inspired artwork for cans. No one's really doing that. So a lot of our can art really leans heavily on comic book characters.
I love the Thanos one, man.
Yeah. And that beer does well for us. That Infinity Gems just won a gold medal at the Great International Beer Competition for Hazy Double IPA.
Dang.
Yep.
Man, I'd love to go to Greece for a beer festival. Oof. But, having this passion for comic books, naturally, I'm sure kind of made it an organic fit for you to think, oh, well, what else can we do with comic books and beer? I mean, personally, that's what we do. But this is the first conversation I've had with a brewmaster in New England doing it themselves.
So it wasn't by myself. I had sold some comic books to someone that found me through Craigslist. And he said, hey, I've got a friend that does conventions. I should hook you guys up. I said, okay, that sounds great. So I met this guy, Josh. He goes by Buzz Comics 1980 on Instagram. And he came down, he looked at the space. He was like, yeah, dude, I think that's really cool. Let's do that. And he's the one that has all the connections with the dealers. So he was able to line up all the vendors, all the artists, and really do all the legwork for us. Whereas, we just kind of provided the backdrop for it. And it was something cool that I wanted to do.
Heck yeah, man. It's something that, people that follow this blog will know that, we started talking about, it kind of started appearing earlier in the 2010, 2013, but very small places. But I was like, oh, this is the future. And then recently when I started this platform, immediately wanted to get back into it. Like, 'cause for me personally, I love the comic shop, but there's nothing else to do there. A lot of times the comic book guy or girl is overworked and doesn't really want to talk about comic books. And, you might be lucky and see someone coming in from work when you're coming in from work after, the day and, both there for Wednesday or Thursday to pick up something you're excited about and talk about it. But it's very hard to make that into a social environment, especially when the comic book, brick and mortars places are often pretty tight and not made for hanging out and grabbing coffee or a beer. So, in this new world where, breweries are everywhere and food trucks and all these entities are coming together to make big events, it just seems so beautiful to have places where we can talk about literature. Even just not, book clubs are cool too, and a lot of breweries are doing that, but there's nothing quite like the allure of a comic book, which takes 3 minutes to read, but is also like going to an art museum. And then there's so much conjecture to talk about. Plus, if and we always talk about making it into an event, tag teaming with a WrestleMania or Rick and Morty show or the new episode of Game of Thrones, et cetera, et cetera. But just making a collective, a culture, cultural, escape for people, not just Comic-Con, but every, more often. And nothing better than a brewery to do that. So kudos to you. And how was the event? Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
The event went great. And I mean, just to kind of piggyback on your thoughts is a lot of the comic book stores around me anyways, and I'm not naming names, but they're very stale when you go in. There's no music playing. It's like, you guys, this is supposed to be fun. And it just seems weird and awkward. I mean, I get it. We're all comic book nerds. Like, we're probably kind of weird and awkward anyways, but don't make it weirder and more awkward. So for us, yes, we had it in a brewery. It was great. There was a lot of people. We had music on. There was, we have pizza there that we do in our wood-fired oven. Plus, there's beer, which is a nice social lubricant. Which I think all of that led to just being a lot of fun.
It's the missing piece of the comic book shop, really, like, and it's something where you can't blame the pub for not having more to do when they already do trivia night and they already have sports on TV, but it doesn't appeal to everybody in the same way that the comic book shop, yeah, the literature and the content and the toys and the collectibles and whatnot are there, but, you're not, maybe they're not thinking of being an entertainment venue as much, not all of them, and the two of those can help each other. And you look at Newbury Comics. I was always like, well, if Newbury Comics or Planet Fitness want to become bars, they'll be the new Dave & Buster's in a week, all through Ohio and everywhere in the Midwest and the North. Like, it would destroy. Because people, that's where people want to hang out, is the gym. They're already doing something they like, and they're already in a great mood. Boom. And same thing with Newbury Comics. They have everything that geek culture wants. Comics are there, not as prominently as some of the other stuff, but they've gotten better over the years. And then you got your vinyls, then a vinyl record player, but you sure could. You have all the cool Funko Pops and T-shirts, and geek culture is just there. That's where the mall is. That's what you do there. And they make it a little better. Younger people, they have a lot more staff, a lot more money to work with, like the Walmart version. But you mix those two together, then you have something. You have an environment, and then really it's about the community. Ultimately, geek culture is geek culture because of the community of geeks in the community that are being happy about their culture, and providing a space for that is just cool and smart.
Yeah,
kudos.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why it was such success. We're talking about doing one in the springtime, because when the warm weather comes, we have a lot of outdoor space at our brewery, and we do utilize that with picnic tables, and that's a space that we could certainly be putting vendors outside as well as inside.
I think I mentioned to you, May the 4th be with you is going to be the day after Free Comic Book Day, May 3rd, a Saturday and Sunday mix. I just found out, like kind of like a Free Record Day, which has some cool stuff. DC's getting hard. They got a big event this summer coming out, another huge Crisis, Evil Trinity, Amanda Waller stuff. But like all the preview, all like the big, probably some big death is all happening on Free Comic Book Day. So it's going to be a must-have comic. And, I'm sure Marvel will answer and everybody else will answer. So that's going to be a just suggestion. That's a thought. But I mean, that anytime that month, there's, if those vendors, just keep a few copies of that one. But definitely, like, nothing better than, wood-fired stove pizza, taking it outside on a sunny day and trying a award-winning hazy IPA. Do you have a Thanos glove that you should sell those? Like, and I'd like to hold the Thanos glove and the can.
While you're holding the can, yeah, that's a great idea. We do have a tap handle that someone pre-printed for us on the gauntlet. So when you come into the tap room and you see the lineup of faucets, and that one's smack dab in the center, it's just this big gauntlet. Even little kids are like, that one.
Yeah.
No. Not until you're 21.
Yeah, maybe put a milk, chocolate milk, little smaller version of it or something. Beer Logic, not 101 because I'm no brewmaster, but like I always remember that. What was it? Newcastle beer. We don't know that. Looking at having the biggest tap handle makes you buy more beer, but it doesn't hurt. And then people talked about we had one special one for our baseball team years ago, and people loved it just because it was this cool goat. And if there's a giant Thanos hand on a tap, like in your bar, you're gonna try it.
Of course. Yeah.
But awesome. Well, Mr. Fleck, I really appreciate your time. Kudos to you for empowering geek culture with your product and your project. And I don't snap your fingers with that tap handle.
Yeah, there's always the concern that Marvel, Disney may come along and snap that beer out of existence, but.
Well, they have to get the glove first, and it's attached to the handle.
I think it's been assisted by many people, but not Disney yet.
oh, you made people happy and you didn't pay us money. And, you know, my job is to get money for a faceless entity of the corporation. And that's my job. Huh. Yeah. So I'd like to snap them out of existence. Anyway, kudos to you for bringing fun to people, bringing geek culture along. And, you know, we'll be keeping an eye on your next event.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
All righty.
Cheers.
Cheers.